Hello again. We're just gonna pick up right where we left off, and that's on coinophobia. So let me just put this here actually. Coinophobia. The fear that you've lived in ordinary life. While you're in it, life seems epic, fiery, tenuous, and unpredictable. But when you look back over your story, or try to put it down on paper, you can see more of it at once than ever before. And yet it seems somehow diminished, humble, almost quaint. So you begin scanning your life, looking for something interesting or beautiful. You see an ordinary house on an ordinary street. It looks smaller than you remember. You once had wild dreams and obstacles and risks looming all around you, but now those look smaller too. You remember giants and goddesses and villains, but now all you see are ordinary people, assembled in their tiny classrooms and workspaces, each moving around in little steps like tokens on a game board. No matter how many times you rolled the dice, it was always these little moves here and there. Do a little work, take a little rest, make a little friend, throw a little party, feel a little boredom, have a little rebellion. There are so many of these token moments that you could have sworn were supposed to represent something else, something big, something bigger. You keep adding them all up, as if there were something you must have forgotten to count, some stash of glory that fell off the back of a truck. You may well adore the life you have for everything it is. You know it isn't groundbreaking, but you wouldn't change a thing. Still, you can't shake the feeling that something is missing. Maybe the trouble is, you were never really in it to begin with. Maybe when you first started building the life you wanted, you put so much thought into what might happen that you started losing sight of what was happening. As if you had known all along that this wasn't the world you expected. A world so low and common that you tried to keep your distance, so you began floating somewhere above it, where nobody else could look down on this life you built. That is, nobody but you. From ancient Greek, koinos, common, ordinary, stripped of specialness, plus phobia, fear, pronounced kinophobia. Hmm. Well, still digesting that word a little bit, but um, I suppose I can easily see how one could have a fear of having lived an ordinary life, but I think also what most people come to realize is that most lives are pretty ordinary. So I can't say I've personally had this fear, but it's nonetheless still an interesting word in the dictionary. Keep. So pretty sure this is an actual word, but we'll see what the definition is for the dictionary at least. But keep, noun, an important part of your personality that others seldom see, a secret flaw, a hidden talent, trauma that never comes up, dreams you never mention, that remains a vital part of who you are, even if nobody knows it's there. Like the sprawling archives in the attics of museums, packed with works far too priceless to risk being displayed for the public. From a keep, the innermost tower of a castle. So, I guess this is like your inner sanctum or something of that sort. Pretty cool. But next we have agnosti agnothesia agnosthesia agnosthesia. I had a lot of trouble pronouncing that. I don't know why. But it is a noun, and it's the state of not knowing how you feel, or sorry, how you really feel about something, which forces you to sift through clues hidden in your own behavior, as if you were some other person, noticing a twist of acid in your voice, an obscene amount of effort you put into something trifling, or an inexplicable weight on your shoulders that makes it difficult to get out of bed. From ancient Greek, agnostos, not knowing, plus diathesis, condition, mood. Pronounced agnosthesia. Agnesthesia. Agnesthesia. Okay, I think we got that down. True holding. Noun. The act of trying to keep an amazing discovery to yourself, fighting the urge to shout about it from the rooftops because you're afraid that it'll end up being diluted and distorted, and will no longer have been created just for you. In the Tolkien Legendarium, Truehold is the true name of Smeagol, Gollum, a creature who spent centuries hiding in dark, wet caves, enthralled in jealous worship of his precious enchanted ring. I still have to finish reading Lord of the Rings, but I am well familiar with Gollum, though, as I'm sure many people are. Punt kick. Noun. A quiet jolt of recognition that it's time to become a better version of yourself, sensing that all the strategies that brought you this far are no longer working. Sounds sort of like a wake up call. That it's not enough anymore to be cute or nice or righteous or tough, as if you've now entered a new phase in the game of life, moving forward with a completely different token. From Dutch, punstuk, punstuk, a railway frog, which is the part of a railway switch where two rails intersect. Sometimes you can feel a little kick when your train passes over it, as if the world is trying to signal you're missing a turn, having traveled too far on the same old track. Fool's guilt. Now, a pulse of shame you feel, even though you've done nothing wrong. Passing a police car while under the speed limit, being carded after legally ordering a drink, or exiting a store without buying anything. From fool's gold plus guilt, also known as a reverse Alford plea, whereby you plead innocent to all charges but want the judge to know that you feel kind of guilty anyways. End zoned. Noun. The hollow feeling of having gotten exactly what you thought you wanted, only to learn that it didn't make you happy. In sports, the end zone is the final goal, the end of the line, but at a certain point, you have to drop the ball. Candling. Verb. I don't know what INTR stands for. But yeah, verb candling. I'm trying to think if there's like some common it's like some abbreviation for something, but I'm not sure. If anyone knows, please tell me. But verb. The habit of taking stock of your life on the occasion of your birthday, letting it serve as a kind of internal referendum on all your goals and qualities and relationships and accomplishments so far, which makes you want to dress just a little nicer that day, as if you're standing before a parole board that convenes once a year to adjudicate your release from childhood. From candling, a method of egg inspection in which an egg is backlit with a candle flame to reveal how the chick is growing, or if it's there at all. Altschmerz, a sense of weariness with the same old problems that you've always had. The same boring issues and anxieties you've been gnawing on for decades, which makes you want to spit them out and dig up some fresher pain you might have buried in your mental backyard. From German, alt, old plus schmerz, pain, pronounced Altschmerz. Lisa-mania, noun, the irrational fear that someone you know is angry at you, that as soon as you wander into the room, you'll be faced with a barrage of questions that gradually escalates into a frenzy of outrage for reasons that you don't understand. In ancient Greek mythology, the Menai are spirits who personified insanity, along with their sister Lyssa, who is known for erupting into rages. Pronounced Lyssamania. Lyssamania. I apologize if there's any background noise, as, like I mentioned before, I do live in a shared household, and yeah, family. Very cool. But the next word we have is terion. Noun. An odd interval of blankness you feel after something big happens to you, but before you feel the resulting emotional reaction. Stunned by a sudden loss, a stroke of luck, or an unexpected visitor, like those tension-filled seconds between a flash of lightning and the thunderclap that follows, which gives you a hint of how near you are to the coming storm. From tarry, to be late to react or linger in expectation plus carry on. Pronounced terion. So I've almost been noticing that a lot more of the words lately seem to be actual like English words, and they're just like repurposed to more of a Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows entry, which is pretty cool. But yeah, yeah, this is why I usually like to record late at night, because it's more quiet and peaceful. But that is to say, I do hope that this recording turns out well. Our last word for this part is William. Noun, an excuse you come up with to rationalize a disappointing outcome. Telling yourself you weren't in the mood for that sold out show anyway, that your safety school is actually a better fit, that your dream job might have been a bit too stressful. From the phrase, well, which typically precedes such an excuse, pronounced William. So that's a bit of a fun, creative word there. I think we all can say we've had the experience of trying to convince ourselves that however the way something turned out was better that way rather than the way we intended. But I think that's good for this part. Yeah. I guess before I ended this part of the video, though, because I'm not sure if I'll record more today, I guess I wanted to give some channel updates, maybe, and life updates too, I guess. But I'm gonna try to make some more shorter format videos just to keep it more engaging and not make it as monotonous with like really long 30 to 40-minute videos. But I'm gonna try to keep it shorter. I do notice that, at least for the last couple of videos I've made, I haven't spent that much time editing them. The most I've done was like a fade in and a fade out, maybe a thumbnail for each video, which I started doing recently. So I might try to incorporate some more like cuts and stuff, and maybe some crossfades just to keep the flow better. Yeah, I hope that goes well for the editing process. I also switched from editing from my iPad to I'm using DaVinci Resolve right now. So I'm gonna get used to that program, or I have to get used to that program. I am more used to Final Cut Pro, which I used in high school, but I haven't had a Mac for a little bit of a while, so unfortunately, and also Final Cut Pro is a little bit expensive, although I do believe they have an educational license. So who knows? I might get an editing Mac-top, or sorry, not Mac-top, iMac in the future if things go well. And yeah. Thank you for joining.